Hello. Welcome back to the Talking Apron podcast. We are your no nonsense friendly resource for healthier eating and confident home cooking, especially if you're trying to prevent or you are managing diabetes. I'm Bernardin. I'm a certified diabetes prevention coach. I'm a nutrition educator and speaker. I'm a home cook, and I just happen to live with type 1 diabetes. So, before we dive in, we're going to do ourselves a favor. If you're watching, you can see I'm holding my water bottle. For those of you who are listening, go ahead and go grab yourself a glass of water because hydration is always first. Then we're going to listen, and perhaps you'll get a little bit inspired. So, today's spotlight is on an herb, and that herb is dill. It's bright, it's feathery, and it's surprisingly powerful. Let's learn how we can freshen flavor and support our healthier, steady blood sugar levels. So we'll be covering the nutrition and the diabetes prevention attributes of dill. We'll be discussing how to buy and store with some background knowledge so you don't waste your money or end up with a slimy bag of green stuff. And then we'll round out this short podcast with a few ways to start using the herb dill in your meals. First, the numbers. Let's talk numbers. 100 grams of fresh dill clocks in at just about 43 calories. It's under 5 grams of net carbs, and it's very ultra low on that glycemic index if you're familiar with how fast carbohydrates digest. Index of 15. Okay, that's all the nerdy research stuff. This is definitely blood sugar friendly, but here's where the nutrition aspects shift up a little bit. 94% of your daily vitamin C, 43% vitamin A, 22% of your potassium, and then iron, 82%. All right, I read all that first, then I read it to you. Okay, that sounds great. But how much is 100 grams? So let's break that down. 100 grams is like 10 cups of chopped dill. We are not going to be eating 10 cups of chopped dill. So let's be a little bit more realistic here. And I want you to know that I bring you the numbers kind of in real time. So if we're going to be using dill, figure about 10. Because I want you to understand something about what Talking Apron's all about. It's about having a diverse diet with fresh vegetables and fresh herbs because you're giving your body a variety of all these health benefits. The ones I just spoke about, added potassium, added iron, added vitamin C. Now, when we do that, it makes us feel good in our brain and our body. Because our cells are happy. Our body processes have the nutrients they need, so we feel good. So there's nothing bad in dill, but I'm going to say I probably won't use dill like I use sometimes parsley or cilantro when you use a whole lot more. I probably won't, but I do use dill because it does add that extra boost. I don't care if I don't get 94% of my vitamin C. If I get 10%, great. All those 10% add up. And when you do have diabetes, like myself, whether it's type 1 or type 2, and maybe you do have to watch your consumption of fruit, we have to be a little bit more creative with how we get our vitamin C. So adding an herb like dill will help contribute to that vitamin C consumption. I'm just going to put a little bonus in here for cauliflower because that has a lot of vitamin C in it as well. So now we're going to go a little bit nerdy on dill, and that's the clinical research. And the clinical research actually shows that dill has a metabolic punch as well. And it shows that adults with type 2 diabetes who took a 3-gram dill powder daily for 8 weeks saw significant drops in their fasting insulin and improved insulin sensitivity. Again, adding dill to your diet can help. So dill isn't just a garnish. It's nutrient dense with real glucose benefits. Now, when we buy dill at the grocery store, at the farmer's market, etc., we want to keep it fresh. Of course we do, because we don't want the dollars to disappear buying something that's not used or goes bad. So when you're in the produce aisle, you're going to be choosing bunches of the herb dill, looking for those feathery fronds that are still not clinging to one another. They have firm stems. There's no yellowing. There's definitely none of that dark green turning into slime. You don't want that. Now, when you're at home, you're going to take that dill, you're going to dampen a paper towel, lightly damp, and you're going to lie the dill straight on that paper towel, and you're going to roll them up like a jelly roll. And then you're going to put that bundle into a Ziploc bag, and this will help keep it from going bad a week to 10 days. So do tuck it into the fridge, and you'll have that. Now, here's what I do midweek, though. You know, sometimes we buy something and we think, oh, I'm going to use it in this, and this, and then life happens, and you take a look in your fridge 4 days later, and you're like, I'm not going to use the rest of it. I've got invited out for the next 3 days, or something happens. What you want to do is you want to get that ice cube tray that you have for this special occasion. You're going to de-stem the dill, chop it up, put about a teaspoon in the bottom of your ice cube tray. Then you're going to lightly cover it with olive oil. You're going to stick that in the freezer. That's right. Put it in the freezer. When it has hardened and frozen, then you can go ahead and remove them, put them to a baggie. Now, some people choose water instead of the olive oil. That can be fine too, depending upon the recipe you're wanting to use it in. But that's a great way to not waste. Here it is, frozen. You can take that dill out, put it in with some sauteed vegetables, and away you go with not wasting. All right, folks, I'm going to do a little bit of a pause, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a personal story. When I was first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I was age 50. And yes, I happened to be teaching high school nutrition and wellness. And I was fit. I was an occasional runner. My weight was fine. But my body started failing. I had so many things wrong with it before I was diagnosed, and I was scared. Then I get diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune disease. And I was overwhelmed because here I thought I was healthy. I was eating everything right. I knew what I was doing in life. I'd been a home cook for years. But bam, shock, change in my health, critical. I was scared. I was worrying about everything I was supposed to eat and couldn't eat. And for some reason, because I was an adult, it was assumed that I would know what to do or how to find everything I needed to do. And I was so overwhelmed with fear, anxiety, and thoughts of, you're going to go blind in a year if you don't do something right now. And I had thoughts of, you're going to lose the feeling in your feet. Will you ever get to walk on the beach again? Or are you going to have to wear sneakers? And I was so afraid. That's why I'm so passionate about what I can do to help you improve your health, to prevent you from having this epidemic of a disease, type 2 diabetes, from happening to you or someone you love. And to help, I've put together a list of the top 10 questions that women ask. Women ask when they are told to watch their sugar, that you're pre-diabetic, then it runs in your family, you need to be careful, that you're overweight, you can get diabetes easily. A lot of those questions come into play, and I have put together the top 10 questions, and it's a free guide to you. The link is in the introduction to this podcast, or you can go to my website, www.thetalkingapron.com. Click the buttons, you'll see the introduction to this free guide, and I'll help get you there. Want to alleviate that worry. Keep listening to these podcasts. Follow me on Facebook. I don't want you to suffer another moment. I don't want you to have that anxiety. I want to help you turn whatever confusion into more clarity on what you need to do. All right, let's get away. Enough of that heavier stuff. Are you ready to learn how to use dill? So here are a few quick wins. Of course, we always have the yogurt dip. The dill yogurt, I'll call it ranch, but that has a different flavor. So 2 tablespoons of chopped dill, a squeeze of lemon, a half a cup of plain yogurt. Now remember, double if you want to keep some in the fridge. Half a cup of the plain Greek yogurt. I add a pinch of salt. I love white pepper. It's going to give it a little bit of heat. And that's it. It's a sugar-free dressing or dip. Now, when you use Greek yogurt, you're also giving yourself some good protein and calcium. And that helps us to lower the carbohydrate count. That's why we use Greek yogurt rather than regular yogurt, because regular yogurt has a higher carbohydrate count per serving. All right, that's the first way. Create your own yogurt dip, whether it's for a ham, some tortilla chips, or those lovely fresh vegetables that you have prepped ahead of time at the beginning of the week. Carrots, cucumbers, maybe radishes. Some people like raw broccoli. Get your raw fiber in. All right, the next one is salmon. Again, let's take care of our brain with the omega-3s that are so lovely in salmon. You're going to place the salmon fillets on tin foil. Now, you're going to make it big enough so you can wrap it in a pouch. Make the foil a large enough piece so you'll be able to wrap the salmon. On top of the salmon, you are going to put some of the fronds of dill. If you want to chop it up, that's fine, but you're going to put some dill right on top. Now, some people put a little bit of butter on top of that. Some people don't. They're watching their oil consumption. And then on top of that, to seal it all in, sliced thinned lemons. Now, luckily here in California, I just happen to have a lemon tree that's a year-round producing. So I'm very lucky with that. I'm going to seal up that packet, and I'm going to bake it at 400, 15 minutes, done. Perfect salmon with this great dill lemon flavoring. Next, we're going to a salad. And this is a cucumber, sliced thin, dill, vinegar, pinch of salt. If you want to throw in the pepper, because I love pepper, this is going to be a really crisp and hydrating, practically zero carbohydrates. Next up, I'm going to add another salad. And this one really is for those folks who want to cut their meat consumption. Maybe you're vegan, vegetarian, or maybe you're someone like me that I don't like having my protein in egg or chicken or beef 3 meals a day. I don't. So I will use a cup of hemp seeds. They're high protein, lower carbohydrate. I will chop up some celery. I will put in with a cup of hemp seeds. I'm going to be putting in at least 2 tablespoons because we're adding vegetables to this, and this will be a bigger salad. With that, you have your celery. You can add radishes, and you can add cucumbers. Now, if you do add the cucumbers, know that you're in for maybe a 4-day max because the cucumbers will break down and get a little bit soggy. Here's where it gets interesting. I mix it up with a little vinegar, some olive oil, and I put in like a half of tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Mix that all in. I let that marinate. When I'm ready to eat, I will take that out. Then I will cut up my cherry tomatoes, 3, 4, 5, whatever you want. If you want to add that to a bed of lettuce, you now have a refreshing meal. The next thing I would do, maybe to top that off, because I have hemp seeds, is throw on maybe a half a teaspoon or not teaspoon, half a tablespoon pumpkin seeds. Done. That's a meal. And you're using the dill a different way, and you're getting all that vitamin C from the dill, from the tomatoes. You get the nice potassium and vitamin C from the lettuce, depending what kind you're using. Very light, refreshing meal. Now, we want things to be speedy because our lives are kind of frantic. But these recipes were all fairly easy. They're not hard to do. You just have to be mindful of when you're making your grocery list. Oh yeah, what can I have on hand that I can throw together quick salad? That's also why I keep hemp seeds. Because if I'm in a rush at dinner time or I just ran late and I don't have time to cook a protein, I'm going to take out that tuna fish or those hemp seeds, or even hummus does have protein. All right. If you don't like using fresh dill, then keep a jar of dill seed in your spice rack. And how you use dill seed would be, for instance, putting a pinch in some lentil soup. And that'll really give you great flavor, but it's also very soothing for your gut. And there's absolutely no extra carbs. Perfect for a rainy day or just a very filling supper. Now, as I close, I just want to thank you. Thank you for finding the Talking Apron. Thank you for sharing your time with me. You know, every small step you take to better your health, whether it be in the kitchen or on the sidewalk, it adds up to something powerful in your life. Keep showing up. Keep making changes. Keep trying. You are worth it. Your family and your future you, thank you for making the changes now. Your health is worth the effort, and you are absolutely capable of making these changes. So go ahead and hit subscribe. Find the free guide so you can receive my weekly newsletter. Let's keep up our confidence. I'm right here cheering you with my apron on.